and not coaching in it before as an assistant coach or some sort, or playing in it as a player, right? And I'm just saying, where do you get a guy? What is the mindset of hiring a guy that his first introduction into HBCU football is going to be as a head football coach of a team who's only won 12 games the last 5 years? In my opinion, Coach, that's similar to what you did when you hired Charles McKinney, is that you got a guy who was outside HBCU football and you brought him in as your head coach, and that was his first experience.
And Mike Haywood. Michael Haywood. Remember Coach Haywood?
Nah, I don't remember him, Coach, but I trusted
Coach Haywood. Well, let me give you a little quick thing on Coach Haywood. Coach Haywood won the MAC at Bowling Green. He coached at the University of Texas. He coached at Notre Dame. He coached at Michigan State. He coached at LSU. He played a role as an offensive coordinator, and he came to Texas Southern and stunk. Now, let me read this to you. Which one of y'all want this question? And I want y'all to put yourself in Chris Dishman's place. Coach, since 2004, Rocky, since you my right-hand man, TSU has won 135 games and lost 345. What difference will you bring to the program since you have less head coaching experience, less coordinating experience, and less SWAC experience than the last 4 head coaches that Texas Southern has hired? How do you answer that question?
Coach, I'm going to bring energy and excitement to the program with my network of coaches and former NFL players. We're going to get in here, and I know what it takes to be successful, not only as a player, but also as a coach. I coached at Division I level in Texas. I recruited here in Texas while at Baylor. And, Coach, I offer something that a winning attitude and my work ethic is second to none, Coach. Second to none.
That's good. That's good, Coach. But tell me somewhere in your resume or in your career that you have taken some that's at the bottom and taken it to the top.
Well, to be honest with you, when I grew up in the ghettos of Louisville. I was a statistic. I'm not supposed to be here before you right now. So I started at the bottom and became an NFL football player at the highest level, and would later become a football coach, and now standing before you as TSU head coach. I'm not, by every account, I'm not supposed to be here, Coach. But with my work ethic, my determination, and the grace of God, I've achieved being the TSU head football coach, and I'm gonna make sure that it's something that that the people of Houston and TSU will never regret.
All right, now I want our lookers to see if that's a good answer. Is that an answer to be the head football coach? What about you, Coach?
Well, see, if I'm gonna be honest with you, you can only lean into what you are, right? You can't lean into that you're a coach because you're not a coach. You can't lean in and say that you've been on the staff, you build a championship. So if I'm Chris Dishman, I'm leaning into a couple things. I've been an NFL player. I've been a winning NFL player. I've been a player that anytime I came to practice, I prepared, and my opponent knew I prepared, and my opponent, when I stood across from him, that he knew it was going to be a one-on-one battle. I'm going to instill that into these young men. Because first and foremost, before we even do any play calling, I need to make sure these men are committed to excellence. I'm going to show them how I prepared every day. Because I wasn't Coach Prime. I didn't run a 4.2. I wasn't the biggest guy. But because I came prepared every day to practice, because I studied my opponent, that allowed me to be an all-pro player. That allowed me to play big in playoff games. So that's what I'm going to lean into. You only can lean into what you are. Because, see, the problem is when we all have to start at square one, unfortunately. He's at square one. So if I'm going to start at square one, I'm going to stand on the square that got me to square one. And that is me being an NFL player, that me being a high-level player, that I can sit down to each one of these men and say, you know what? If you come to practice, you got to practice this way to get to the NFL. But that's more than that. I'm not telling you that to get to them. I'm talking about the level of commitment you need to have that we're looking here at Texas Southern. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, the second part of it is, and I'll say to you, Coach, well, you know what, Coach? You're right. I don't have experience, but I've got Coach Cole here that has 40 years of experience. I've got Coach this here that has 20 years of experience. I'm going to surround myself, again, with some of the best coaches possible, because that's the only way you can do it. That's the only way you can do it. So I'm going to lean into who I am as a player, my resume, and my ability to talk to these young men, but I'm also going to be smart and get people that's smarter than me to coach. Point well.
So now, y'all two on the committee, is he a guy to pass on to the short list?
See, this is the thing.
Right. And number two, then we shouldn't have no problem with my man from Fort Valley.
Oh, no. Okay. So I think you okay. Coach, you're talking about two totally different situations and circumstances, right? So you're talking. So let's take the two programs in consideration when we evaluate who we need as a head coach. We got a championship program with a stacked roster, right? What is the number thing? What's the number one thing you don't want to happen to that team, Coach?
We don't want to lose that roster.
Is that the same consideration that TSU has?
No, Coach. No, we in dire straight, Coach. We needed somebody to come in with building blocks, tool block. He got caterpillars, trucks, everything in it, because we got to start from the ground up.
At the time that Willie resigned, there were 4 Power 5 players who had committed, and now I think 2 of them have committed to other Power 5 programs.
Correct.
Yes. And so
correct.
What you were talking about, you are in the middle of a team that was actually loading for bear, right? They were loading for bear, Coach. You want, first off, my consideration in that situation, whoever the coach is, I need you to get in place now, because I need you to retain those players that Willie recruited, meaning that those players entered the portal somewhere. They can't sign, they have to be in school by whatever school starts in FAMU. And so I got to get them in place so those players and current players can be prepared to get enrolled in school the next year and not be thinking about getting in the transfer portal. That's the number one deal. I may have to take a chance on a coach just so I can maintain that uber talented roster. Because even you say this, Coach, not every guy can win with average players. But there's been a whole bunch of coaches that can win with good players.
Oh yeah, ain't no
if
question.
You got good players, you can win. But there's only few.
I'll take a program over talent any day. I'll take a program over talent any day.
So what do you consider a talented? So when you, as a program, we know what FAMU was. As a talent, on a grading scale, what in FAMU's current condition, what do you think from 1 to 10, where were they as a program in your opinion, Coach? 1 to 10.
Without a doubt. 9.5.
Okay,
10.
and where were they in talent, Coach?
10. on that level. Yeah.
So
I'm just on the outside. I'm on the outside looking in.
Because so do you need an A+ coach?
Yeah, the last part of the season, they weren't playing good, but they were still out-programming people. They were beating them with talent at the end. Because Musa threw so many interceptions and so many incompletions, but people were still picking up where they were hurting at. Either defense played well, somebody on offense made 2 or 3 big plays.
Coach, they threw a pick 6 with 4 minutes left in the Celebration Bowl and didn't bat an eye. They had the lead again within 2 minutes.
Yeah. That's how much better they were than everybody. And so in that situation, do you need an A+ coach? Like, those are the kind of situations I think about as an AD. As an AD, you have to, do I need an A+ coach to win? Right? Or can I get an A+ coach? Right? Well, when you say A plus,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a lot come around that. You know,
Well, what I'm saying is, okay, what I'm saying is,
you don't want no bad coach. Let me say that.
No, you don't want a bad coach, but you don't need an A+ coach. You don't need someone who is going to jeopardize upsetting the roster and you having to build a roster and a coaching staff.
I would rather say I don't want somebody to come in and thinking and not knowing what they have. I'd rather get somebody that know what they have.
That's a great point, coach. That's a great point.
You know what I mean? Instead of trying to, you know, like I said, do you blow up the ship or do you just keep the ship sailing and hard within and keep moving? I really don't think we even should be here. I'll be honest. I don't think if I was AD, I'd have kept things rolling. You know, and put my guy or which one of them I chose to lead the program and maybe put him on a 2 with a 3-year option. You know, and kept the program rolling. That's what I would have done.
And Rocky, I want to kind of piggyback. If your thing, if this goes back about being a great leader, a consensus builder, and organizer, I'm going to use Coach Cole said, hey, I've got the inside, the AD's worrying about APR. Well, what you do is you put everything down. If Coach Roll or Coach Cozy was coach, those guys would have been in school right now, ready, those recruits, and they still wouldn't be recruited. Then you sit down with your coach and say, Coach, here's the plan. I want to make sure we are excellent on the field and off the field. You give me a plan how you're going to do that. I'm going to help you build that plan because I come from this. I come from compliance. And I'm going to help you because you might be lacking in that, coach. That might not be your expertise. See, this goes back to about experience. Because if you have experience in something and I don't have experience, then you share your experience with me and vice versa. And that's how we build a team together. Everybody's not going to have the same level of experience, right?
Right.
So if you have a strength versus my weakness, then we go towards your strength. So, okay, AD Sykes, you are a compliance person. You tell me what I need to do as a coach to make sure that we hit the 930. Well, you know what? I've been here at Dartmouth. I've been here at Grambling. I've been here. And everybody, this is the way we've done it. Well, you know what? I'm going to implement that. Guys, we're about to sit down and we're about to have a compliance meeting. AD Sykes is going to walk us through how we're going to make sure that all of you all graduate and go to class. Boom. Now, the football side of it is, AD Sykes, you never hired a coach.
Thank you.
You've never hired a coach. So then maybe you might need to call Ashley Robinson and say, hey, wait a minute now. I'm in this situation where I kind of want to get somebody from the outside. Why did you hire T.C. Taylor? And then maybe he'll say, well, you know what? We had Ed Reed who wanted the job, but I thought continuity was best. And looking at your squad, probably for you, continuity would be best for you.
It's good. That's a good point. Good point.
So this is what I'm talking about when we sit back here and understand, admit when you don't know what you're doing. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, what you do is you go, Walter Reed is right down in Tallahassee. Well, like I say, you go out and you talk to people because if you have these conversations, because there's no perfect candidate for Florida, and if there is no Willie Simmons walking through the door, right? There's no perfect candidate. So you're going to have to give a little to get a little. So the question is the pro and con, and what I think everybody from FAMU is saying, you can't show me a coach that is that great of a coach compared to the amount of students we're going to lose football players. See, it doesn't match. You can't.
No. I agree. And what I was going to do is bring up this right here. It said Jamie said this situation is so complicated between the team and the AD. That's my point. That's what my frustration is. It's not complicated. It is absolutely not complicated. Those men went out there representing FAMU and won a Celebration Bowl.
National championship. Those
young men should have some level of influence. These guys didn't lose. They weren't 1-12. These guys went to the highest level, achieved a SWAC championship and a celebration goal. Should those players pick the coach? Absolutely not. But certainly the AD should listen to the players and at least as a courtesy, give Cozy, Coach Roll, Coach Smith, Coach Henry an interview before you go off and hire your ex-boyfriend.
Nope. Wait. Okay. Let me. Okay. No. Okay. This is so, Coach Cole. All right. I want to clear disclaimer. That is not true.
Oh, okay.
Coach Gibbs is married. He's happily married.
Oh, okay.
They have that. They do not. I don't want, because one thing I like about this show, and again, this show is so on point because of the knowledge, and I don't want us to fall into that, because what we're talking is football right now.
Absolutely.
So the person I want, and the only reason why I'm saying that right is all respect, but this is for Coach Cole, because this is, his name is on it, and I don't want anybody to say, and I know you were making a joke, of course, but I want to just put that to rest, because I'm personally putting that to rest. There's no improper, relationship between him and the AD. There's nothing like that. Coach Gibbs is happily married, and that's that. So we can move on from that. Yeah. So I just wanted.
It was a bad joke, guys. My bad. My point is,
he got excited, Coach. He got excited.
Yeah. But I think, but the point of it, but wait a minute. Let's take what that part of the point of it is the person that you hired is then goes back to the pro and con list that I'm talking about. You might have liked this person. I understand. Coach Gibbs, and nobody's saying he's a bad coach. But again, you have to look in the total. And Coach, you can understand this. We're living in a new age of the transfer portal. This ain't like when you could bring a new coach in and everybody just got to sit. They can't go anywhere. You got to acknowledge the transfer portal now. That makes a difference. It makes a difference. I'm seeing people in Alabama freaking losing their mind because the 5 or 6 guys that's leaving Alabama. They're all upset. So again, when you have a team that is that much in unison, and shout out to Kevin Dean, man, the running back for FAMU that's represented FAMU so well. I mean, I want a Kevin Dean jersey. Somebody please tell Kevin Dean to get in contact with me, because that young man has represented, and he said, listen, we are together. I want to represent FAMU, and we want Coach Cole because we believe continuity will help us win a championship. I respect that. That he spoke, not that we just going to hang out and kick it because Coach Cole is going to let us do whatever we want. I believe these young men understand that there's been a system put in place, and the system can help them win another championship. That's what I believe.
So and to your point, that's why I think that the article that was written by Bonita Bonnet is somewhat tone deaf, because it's not the alumni that wanted the coach. It's the players. The young men who put on the uniform. That's who wanted the coach. And that's what's at jeopardy right now. It seems like the alumni is listening to the players more than the AD is at this point. That's my point, is that these decisions cannot be made without consideration for the players and the young men who put on those jerseys and those helmets each and every Saturday. You can't make that decision without their consideration.
Wow. I had a text. I guess I get texts on and off. Let me see. From Roy Wallace. He says, now, TSU should go in like Dion and tell them players he is going to bring his Louis Vuitton, but he can't because he doesn't know a duffel bag of players. So they will get the same results. Boy, folks are rough, man.
I think Coach Desterman has a high mountain to climb. I really do. I think that, back to Coach, like I said, you wanted to talk about Coach, and that's what we were talking about. I think one of the keys is going to be for him, and like I said, he said that he was going to announce his staff later because he didn't want to do it there, and I guess maybe they'll do an official thing. That's going to be really key. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think what is going to help him, that him and Bubba do have a great relationship. Because it's nothing better than having somebody that's your boy to say, hey, man, let me tell you the real what you about to get into. Let me tell you the mistakes that I made so you don't make them at Texas Southern. I believe Bubba's going to help him with that. Eddie George, Eddie Robinson. I think if he leaves, this goes back to my point about if you don't know, ask. You got 3 of your teammates that have different scenarios, that have all been there, have some level of success. They can tell you the frustrations, and they can say, hey, man, don't do this on day one. Let me
say this. Being a head coach, you only got so many years to get it done. And if you miss year 1 or 2, you might as well it's gone because you don't lost the players. Being a head coach, it ain't time to start studying for the test. Does that make sense?
100%.
Somebody.
No OJT.
Every program is a lot different, and I get it. But you only got 11 times to do it right, Coach. 11 times to do it right. And really, the first time that you get in there is you really establishing your program. And if you don't get it right, if you don't understand that, and then, here's the thing, too. You got to be able to hire some good people around you, man. And here's his staff. I know he hired a guy I played with that's been out of coaching for a while. I know he kept 3 of the coaches that was on the staff, where really one of them was administrator, and he kept actually 2 coaches. And then he hired an office coordinator from the XFL. It's nothing about it that excites me. It's nothing about the saying, man, we might have a chance to get this going in the right direction. It's nothing that I could see in his resume and in his experience to say, man, because wasn't he there at Baylor in they down years after they went through the, stuff with Brown?
Yeah. So he got hired the year that all the stuff, kind of fell apart. He was there 2 years. He was there the year, which was a really good year. And then he was there a year after when they put in the temporary coach, and they let everybody go after.
About coaching on Division 1A level, that's all you do is coach. Now, if you got aspirations to be a head coach, just like if you guys notice, the good coaches that have played in NFL, they wasn't starters. They were bench guys. They were guys coming up, learning everything else about the system. They knew the X's and O's. They started learning the why and the know-how and why we do this and what we do here. When you're a great player, all you're doing is focusing on playing. But when you're a head football coach, you can't have tunnel vision because you're the captain of the ship. You got to make sure the engine man running everything. And if you don't have that experience, it's tough. It's tough.
What I don't understand is, why can't we get in these hiring meetings and talk about the qualities that it takes to be a successful head coach and what coaches have those qualities? We get so much is about whether we like the coach or not, whether the coach has some affiliation with the school. And I don't want to throw FAMU in that situation because I think FAMU has a particular situation. When you're a championship program, you have some flexibility that other programs don't have when you're hiring a coach. I'm just going to be straight up with you. When you're a championship program. But when you are a cellar dweller, a constant cellar dweller, right? You have to be tuned in about what makes programs successful and have someone at the helm that can implement and change the culture of those programs. That's what you need. Someone that has a proven track record of coming in and changing the culture of that program. I'll never forget in 2007 when Baylor hired Art Briles, who had built Houston into a winning program, right? The University of Houston. And then he comes to Baylor. There was no doubt that people believed because he had did it at Houston. And certainly if you can do it in Houston, you can do it at Baylor. And he did, right? That proven track record gives a coach and a fan base confidence that it can be done. When Chris Dishman begins to struggle like Art Briles did in his second year, it wasn't a quick turnaround at Baylor, right? Art Briles struggled his second year. Are they going to have the patience of knowing that Chris Dishman has the answers to turn the program around, or is this just another guy that's in over his head?
Well, Coach, I want to do something for the audience because I think a lot of people don't understand your resume and pedigree. I'm just being honest. And you've been here. Why don't you tell the audience if this was the first 2 years, what were the things you did the first 2 years that you thought that as you look back on it made you successful as you turned that Texas Southern program around? What were some of the things that you did those first 2 years?
First of all, I learned something about the school, the mission statement. So academically and administratively, I could be in line with them. And then I look at the program, you know, of what it needs and what it takes to have a winning program. And then I'm a black man that's been a black kid. And so I know things about black kids that first you need to, and that's discipline. That's clean it up from A through Z. And some players, I'm saying from cutting hair, from no baggy pants, to no flip-flops when we travel, shirt and tie, get next size, community involvement, taking them around, making them feel special, make sure the alumni understand that this is our team. We need your help. Now, I ain't talked about X's and O's because it ain't about that. You know, it's about the Jimmys and Joes. And when you're talking about the Jimmys and Joes, you got to be able to go out and recruit and what to recruit. And one of the main things is being able to hire. See, I don't get into personal things with people. I want to go out and hire the best football coaches. I don't care if he can pass the background check. Shit, he okay with me. Let's coach him up, everybody. Because see, I'm in charge. If he steps out of line, I'll fire him. I've fired coaches before. You know what I mean? That's a part of the business. Hey, only way we gonna make friends, and I tell the players, first meeting, I'm not here to be your friend, and you're not here to be mine. But this is how we gonna make this happen. You do what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna do what we're supposed to do, and we're gonna win championships, and we're gonna be friends. You got to know the business side of being a head football coach, how to order, what you got to do to order equipment. You just can't get your homeboy and call him up. Man, send me 4 helmets. Such I'm gonna write you a requisition, and then I'm gonna write you a requisition for 10. Now I want 3 behind that. It's a process, and you got to learn. You got to learn the process. Scholarships on the 1A level and the 1AA level is different. On the 1AA level, you can have them. You know, you can have a scholarship, or you can fool a guy. You got to be able to play with the money. You know, kids with financial aid, and you got to become a businessman. At Lane College, I had 7 scholarships, right? $125,000, and I think it cost about $13,000 to go to school at $14,000. So that equaled up to about 7 scholarships, right? I went out and cut them scholarships up with the guy's Pell Grant. All right. And that's how, I mean, then I went out and found an apartment building that we would let the kids get into. So it's so much, you know, that you have to know to be successful and work on at an HBCU level. And you can't get in there, oh, they won't give me no money. I know one of the coaches was like, well, they gave Johnnie Cole all the money, you know, and we just don't have enough energy in the second half. I said, well, I've never seen a team eat steak dinner at halftime so they can get some energy. That means it's something you ain't doing in practice and preparing these young men. You know, it's just so much, man, that you got to know to sit in that position, and especially at HBCU. You can't go in there and complain and cry, and I don't have this and I don't have that. You got to take a nickel and make a dime. And that's just some of the stuff. And I don't want to give all my stuff away.
But Coach, as we prepare to wrap this up, Coach, you bring up something that you always have pointed out to me when we first started this show, is that at an HBCU, it's just not about X's and O's. It's just not about recruiting. There's so much more to the job. And how important is it for a coach to be familiar with that other stuff?
It's well, when you're the head coach, you're the one to say yes and no. And sometimes on the HBCU campus, they don't want to talk to the down guy. You got to get out of your office and walk down there. This is all the stuff that you don't, that those guys don't know nothing about. And what they do, they get frustrated. When they come from, having a locker room and massage guys, walk down to the gym and run the track. That's what we had at University of Cincinnati. You don't got that at HBCU. Your office might be, 7 by 6. You barely got a desk in there. You gotta tell the receptionist, hey, look here, man. Look, we can't have the kids sitting on the table. You gotta be able to answer the phone the right way. We running a program. This is a business here. We run it. If all those things ain't in place, man, you might have a donor call. Mr. Campbell gonna call. Look, I want to talk with Coach Cole. I'm ready to donate 10,000. She smacked, oh, who is that? What you just need to call back because I'm on another line. It's just something that you got to do when you get in there, and you got to do it, and you got to set the precedence that this is how we run things here. And to me, that's the difference when you start talking about a PWI, and I'm not talking about Alabama. No, I'm talking about them mid-major and them other 1AA teams. They run their programs like business, and that's the way we should run our program. But we don't. We keep hollering about money. Man, look, you don't have it. You got to put it in your mind. If your grass need cut, guess what, Rob? I'm out cutting the grass. If the grass need watering, I'm gonna go to Home Depot and buy me a bunch of hoses. And so we can run. I remember at Lane, I'm running around, making sure the whole field gets, because I want the kids to take some pride and feel good about coming out to practice. Do you think the average man or the average person that's been living in the White House or the big house is ready to do something like that? I don't know. Y'all tell me. But I hadn't really seen it done. Since we left Tennessee State 23 years ago, they ain't won. Since I left Lane back in '07, ain't won. Since we left Alabama State, I think they got to the championship. They won one with our team. They let us go in August. They really ain't won. Texas Southern, of course, they've lost 135 games since I left. I mean, they only won 135 and lost 300 and something like that. So those are things, man. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Coach, I think that's a 40-year record that you're talking about with the 100 and some games. That's a 40-year record.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
400 games.
I got that wrong. Right.
You know, Coach, as you've pointed out a number of times, coaching at HBCU is just not, it's not just football. And it's so important that anybody who comes into HBCUs to coach football understand that it's about so much more. But the experience of that a coach gets. Let me ask you this here, Coach. How long do you think it takes a guy like Chris Dishman or even Charles McKinney to get his feet up under him and understand the culture of what it means to coach at HBCUs and adjust to what you don't have or what you may have to get involved in? How long of an adjustment period is?
Well, first, it's got to be his mindset that I'm coming in here to build a program, and I'm not going to sit and ask why we don't have this and why. Ask why not. And what do I need to go do to find it and get it? And I got to have a staff that supports that. And sometimes when you start getting guys that's been in these big programs, they don't want to come in and support that. They want to know why. Don't ask why. Roll your sleeves up and let's get it done. I think Coach McKinney, now that he's been through it and he has some idea what it's about, I think he might be a little better. But you just don't have those things in place. You got to create them. You got to be able to create them, those things in place. You know what I'm saying? One thing we did at Tennessee State back in the 90s, late 90s, black colleges weren't even going to hotels on Friday nights. So what did me and my brother do? We had this insurance company from Woodman of the World, had a campground outside of Nashville. So on Friday nights, Coach, we would take our kids out to the campground to get them off campus, to be big time. We would stop at a movie, and after the movie, we go out to the campground. The next morning, they bring breakfast out for us. We load the bus, come on back in town. Nobody had that. Nobody was doing that in the 90s, except for we started that. You know, we started getting a player development guy. We started getting the guy who actually goes out and get our hotels for us, and then go to the hotel and have it set up. So we pulled up there at the bus, our keys and stuff is already lined out. You know, so all those things is a part of it. How I want to travel, how you want to travel, what you want to do on Friday nights. What are we doing? And again, I ain't got to the X's and O's yet, have I?
No.
So
hey, Coach, this has been an amazing show, and we're about to wrap this thing up. But I do want everybody that's on now. We're all 225 people. First off, I want you to like the stream, and then I want you to go down to the description and follow Coach and I on social media, and make sure if you're watching on Off Script that you click our channel, our YouTube channel, and go ahead and become a member and subscribe. I would certainly appreciate that as a courtesy. I certainly would appreciate that, and Coach would as well. But before we get out of here, we can't get out of here without our resident rattler give us some indication of when can we expect FAMU to have their next, would it be their 19th head football coach?
I believe so. Well, let me say this, and I hope we get to come back, because the one thing I know we talked about a lot of great things, and I had to break that, but we definitely got to talk about this SWAC schedule, because that we got to do that, because the way that schedule is laid out, it's going to be interesting who wins the SWAC. So I just want to put that out there for the next time. But you know, I think honestly, I don't think we're going to have a coach by the end of this week. I don't believe so. I don't believe it. And if we do. If we have a coach by the end of this week, I think it'll be somebody that people are not going to be happy about. But I'm just going to say, Rattler Nation, whoever our AD at this stage, the AD has the choice. And what I'm hoping is that she listens to the players. I hope this coach, whoever, if this is not an internal candidate, because internal candidates know what they need to do. But if this is an external candidate, I'm telling you, get down to Tallahassee, talk to those players, talk to the alumni, so we can get behind you. Because we do, as of right now, have a championship level team. And that is going to require you to reach out and understand what you need to do to maintain that. So, you know, I don't think I don't believe, because tomorrow's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I think maybe Monday, Sunday, it'll probably leak that she's decided, and then Monday she'll make the announcement. That's what I believe.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, Mr. Campbell, I hope so, because this saga is
it's embarrassing.
You know, you say it's embarrassing, Coach. Why do you say it's embarrassing, Coach?
Because you already got a program that's fixed. It's not broken. So why blow it up? Why blow the program up? It's the easy choice. But when it gets personal, and when you get personal and you got tunnel vision, you mess up the process. You can still get who you want, but you got to be able to respect the process and the gatekeepers. You got to do that. You got to do that, because it really makes sense, you know. And hopefully, you know, we got these schools that's giving out 10, 6, $7, $8 million to head coaches and making decisions in 4 to a week's time. And here my alma mater went for 3 months, 2 months, 2.5 months. And came up with that choice. Hell, I'm gonna say it. And now, FAMU, the cream of the crop, the cream of the top, is better than this. Y'all better than this, Mr. Campbell. Y'all better.
Well, that like I say, that we brag different means something. It is a real thing, and like I say, and I'm just trying to move this to a positive thing. I want our AD to understand that we want to support her, 100%. So I think more communication, more understanding what, and talk to people that have done this. Just how to feel like, yeah, but we shouldn't be here right now because frankly, and this is just a fact. Forget all the rest of it. We're losing recruits. We had a bomb squad of kids, Power 5 kids, that clearly had Power 5 talent because they left FAMU, signed, and going to Miami, going to Virginia. So that lets you know.
She must be totally against the two coaches on the staff.
Coach.
And I told you why I think that she is.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's the case, like you said earlier, it's legit. Just say that I don't feel that these two men can lead our program in the direction it needs to go.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I would have rather for her to go on to the booster club and go to the power that way above my pay grade. And see, that's when you have the closed door meeting and say, listen, I know you want these guys, but let me tell you my vision of why I want to go outside. And then maybe they say, oh, well, I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. I just know this part. I only know 50%. But this goes back to the lack of communication, and that's why you put stuff on websites instead of talking to people directly.
Hey,
the one thing about
knowing me, I'd have went to the police station and got the damn things, and dacked their names out and brought them to the meeting with me and said,
exactly. So because you got to build your case. Build your case on why you think this, because this goes back to my point. Anything that you do, when you're making tough decisions or innovators, everybody's not going to be on board with it. So maybe she is smarter than me. She's got a better resume than me. I'm not the AD. I never could apply for AD. So she clearly has the ability to be the AD. So I'm going to give her respect. But my point of it is, when you're dealing with other people, you got to bring them along with you. And the only way to bring them along is to explain why I'm going in the direction that you want me to go.
Is this bringing people along with you?
No, absolutely not. And that's the problem. That right there is called getting people against you. And I'm talking about a lot of people. Because let me tell you something, man. Listen, when you got let me tell you the funny thing. When you got classmates of mine, I got a classmate of mine that is an attorney, and a high-level attorney. And she don't even follow football. And she was like, "Oh, I'm about to write a letter to this woman directly."
Here's my thing with here. Here's my thing with her. You guys know I'm an experienced guy. I believe in experience. I believe you got to go through something to be something. Besides APR, have she ever been in this place? Have she ever been in a part of a championship team? Basically, she's just gurgitating what she hears. That's my thing. Where have she been on a lower level? Have taken a Division II program to championship? Of course, we know she never played the game or never coached the game. Have she coached something else?
No. Like so she's never sat in that second. Coach, I'll tell you, she's never sat in that second chair to prepare you for the first chair.
Have you ever even been a coach before?
No. And that's the thing. She has not sat in that chair, the second chair, to prepare for the first chair. And it is just painfully obvious when we have seen what has gone down.
Here's what people say to me. Oh, well, she ain't got to be this to do this. She ain't got to be this to do that. It's people that have not coached before that's been good. But when we're talking about numbers, let's talk about numbers. If you put 10 people together that ain't never sat in that seat, they're not going to be victorious. It's going to be more that have sat in that seat that make good decisions than ones that haven't. That's just how it is. I'm never saying nobody has never done that. Everybody has to go through this. I've never said that. But with you don't see winning programs going out and taking chances like that. You don't see that. They go out and get winning coaches.
Let me ask you guys this, because this is very interesting to me, and then I'll let you take us out, Coach Cole. When the last time a championship team a national champion been scheduled for as a homecoming opponent.
Well, okay. All right. Let me preface this though. Alabama State, I think, has their homecoming on a certain day in a certain range, and the way the schedule fell out, it was the next game up. So I don't think that was good because I was, again, we joked about that, and the Alabama State alumni pointed out, we always going to have our homecoming that weekend or somewhere around that weekend. It doesn't matter who it is, and the schedule just fell like that. So I'm not going to, try because frankly, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Alabama A&M schedule Jackson State a couple of years ago for their homecoming and got ran 69 to whatever 63 or something? So
that's the point. That's the point, Mr. Campbell.
Yeah,
So, back when I played sports 70, 80 years ago, if you were a homecoming opponent, you were a homecoming opponent for a reason. Maybe that's changed nowadays, Well,
I'm gonna tell you, it looks like, and again, the only other, and Alabama State people can correct me, but I was told that October 5th is usually always their homecoming or something like that. But I've been told because the thing about it is, yeah, something I'm pretty sure of that. And then they only got another game in October. They play Valley on the 12th, and then after that, they don't have another home game until Jackson State on November 16th. So honestly, who were they going to play for homecoming other than Florida A&M or Valley? And if their tradition is to play it on that, somewhere in that second weekend or first weekend or whatever, then that's what you got.
Let me say this, guys. Y'all appreciate this. It's up in the air, man. Ain't no one team better than another. All the teams up in there. All the teams are homecoming teams coming in this fall. I mean, who's going to be dominant? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be dominant? Alabama State is the only one maybe have the lead of dominancy. Prairie View beat Southern. Southern beat Alcorn. Texas Southern beat Alcorn. Jackson State lose to Alcorn, but beat Southern. You see what I'm saying? Who's going to be the dominant team?
I mean, fam, you didn't lose to nobody, Coach. I'm just reminding you.
But now they don't lost their coach. We don't know who coming in there. So who's going to be the dominant team?
And let me. Derek White says, "What happened to schedules made years in advance? That's not how conference schedules. That's when you're scheduling out of conference teams. The conference schedule is always made on a year-to-year basis. Other than in the SEC, when Alabama's going to play on the third Sunday in October versus Tennessee. So or you play Auburn at the end of the year. All the rest of those games are always going to be in the cake mix. So I just wanted to let them know that."
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I think you have to, because you have your division games that you have to play, right? And then when you go across divisions, those teams rotate through one another. Is that correct? If I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, and this is the reason why FAMU hasn't played Alcorn, because it's unbalanced on the cross match, because Alcorn, because of the politics, they have a permanent cross match with Valley. And of course they're going to have a permanent cross match with Jackson. So that eliminates one of their rotation games on the cross match. So they want to keep.
So they only have one cross match every 6 or 7 years against each team.
Right, because they already got two already booked up. Because of, and it makes sense. It makes sense, but that's why everybody's like, I don't know why Jackson State is scheduling Grambling and Jackson State is playing in the out of conference game, because those are big games. Those are big games. So those are big games for the conference. And again, to sell TV time and things. So that's why they book those games. That's why, honestly, and we talked about this on another show, that's why probably the SWAC needs to go to a 9-game conference schedule to accommodate that, to be honest with you. But that's another show for another day.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely. Yeah, we got to get into this schedule, because I saw some very interesting matchups. Some people have, very few home conference games. You know what I mean? And how does that factor in to how things will turn up? I want to say I saw one school, and I think it may be UAPB. They traveled to Jackson State, Grambling, Southern, and maybe FAMU. Like they have all those games on the road. Like,
they've got Southern, Jackson State, Grambling, and Alcorn all on the road. That's who they play on the road.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but you got to look at what the only game that cross match game is the Jackson State game. That and the Valley is their cross match game, and I think Valley is their permanent cross match. So again, this is how it kind of plays out in the West. You know, it's the same thing in the East. You got to play Jackson State or FAMU. That's sorry, Alabama A&M. That's who you got to play. You got to play them every year. You know, Alabama State. You got to play Jackson State or FAMU every year. So the conference is well balanced to give us really good games through the 12, 13 weeks of the season. But you know, again,
who my alma mater got for homecoming?
I would assume, Coach, that your homecoming is either October 12th or the 26th, and that you play Southern on the 12th. That's probably in Dallas, right? They play that game in Dallas, right? Southern and Texas, they play.
They changed it. It's home and home now.
Home and home. So Texas Southern plays October 12th versus Southern in October 26th. I bet your homecoming is probably against Grambling.
Who's before and after Southern?
Jackson State. At Jackson State comes to Texas Southern on the 28th, and Southern again.
Before that game, it's before the Jackson State game.
Well, August 30th. No, it can't be. No, it can't be.
So last year, the last 2 years, y'all have scheduled y'all homecoming the same weekend as Prairie View's homecoming, and Prairie View's homecoming is the first weekend in November.
Well, that would be November 16th for them, and that's because they play Alcorn on the 9th. So they're gonna have a.
We don't play Lincoln College out of Oakland. Is that on there, or is that just the SWAC schedule?
Oh, this is just a SWAC schedule. So great point. So yep, that's just SWAC schedule. Yep, you're right, Coach. I am probably missed a week in there. Yeah, I just pulled it up. I thought we were going to talk about it. I just pulled it up on SWAC.org, but that is not the full schedule.
Because most of those schools don't play some type of Division 1A school up top.
Well, all right, Coach. Hey, man, this has been a great show. Everybody, Mr. Campbell, I want to thank you again for coming with us, man. And hopefully what we got you on our first contract with, we can renew you for that same.
Hey, man, listen, as long as Coach will have me, I already got this blocked off on the Tuesday. I usually go to the movies on Tuesday, but I'm having a little bit more fun doing this. So as long as Coach will have me, I'll be here every Tuesday.
Hey,
all right, man, we appreciate it.
We got to put him on the search more information committee.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I would have saved FAMU a whole lot more money, and I probably would have had the coach by now. I tell you that if I would have been on that search committee.
Man, my phone be blowing up, man. It be blowing up, Coach. I be hitting y'all all during the day, huh, Coach?
Absolutely, and you think your phone blows up? Because see, like I say, I've got people from Grambling, FAMU, Jackson State, Southern, Alcorn, and people in between that I've known for 40 years that are in at these schools and say, "Hey, man, did you know this?" I say, "Yeah, I just know it because somebody else just called me and told me."
And the crazy thing, there are so many things that are going on because we're all in a group chat together. So many things that are going on behind the scenes that we just can't talk about until they happen. You know what I mean? Like we can't, and that's largely to protect our sources and we use the term sources, but for you and Coach, Mr. Campbell, a lot of those people are y'all close personal friends. And to protect those guys, we won't breach those subjects, but they're very interesting things that are happening behind the scenes that may or may not materialize in upcoming weeks. And so, man, this is a weird time in the SWAC, Coach.
This
I'm
is
just glad I'm a part of it, Coach.
When I was coming up, this is what Eddie Robinson said on those buses when we were riding on the SWAC tour. He said, when these non-athletic people start running the dang conference, that's when our conference gonna go to shit. And I'm not saying it's going to that, but it's just a lot of things that we're not taking care of the business part of. Our business part is ragged.
Well, we got to fix it. Well, Coach, the great thing about it is you're bringing light to these things. I know a lot of people listen to this show. I think even more people are listening to it. So, Coach, you got to keep just preaching the gospel. And you know what? I'm just going to support you as best I can with the facts that we know as it is.
That's right. That's right. And that's what it's about. And, again, guys in our group, if these guys sign in and subscribe to us, Rocky, we in the middle of talking with some sponsorship that we need more and more people to subscribe, and then we actually can start meeting up on some of these college campuses and actually present our coaches as well as our HBCU students, on this channel. So hopefully, people start hitting that dial on there. Subscribe.
I'm really looking to, we've talked about it, and definitely Coach Campbell. Mr. Campbell will definitely want to be a part of it. But we're looking at doing a spring football tour coming up. And we're just, we're trying to get all the dates. We got one date solidified that we know that we had Coach Thomas on last week, and he said that his spring game is scheduled for April the 8th, I believe he said. And so as we can try to, kind of line these things up, and we definitely want to get out and see some of these coaches, meet some of these players, get them on our platform and all that kind of stuff. And we can't do it unless we continue to grow, and we have to do it with your continued support. So we just asked if you could go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, man. Man, I had a
good guys.
I love coaching. I love teaching my kids. I teach my elementary kids. Man, I just had a sportsman talk with them because, boy, let me tell you something. We played dodgeball, and I had to break up 4-5 fights. I teach at a Title I school and loving it, man. But, and sometimes when you ain't where you are, don't worry about it. If you feel yourself at the end of the rope, you tie a knot and hold on tight because ain't nobody bad like you.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Monday, January 29th, 2024. Number 1. Although Senate negotiators have yet to produce formal legislation regarding conditions at the U.S.-Mexico border, conversations surround the topic of whether or not Republican members of the House really want to achieve the successful passage of a bill. While news reports indicate that President Biden and the Senate are embracing the possibilities of the proposed legislation, the Associated Press reported that House Speaker Mike Johnson said the legislation would be dead on arrival in the House if reports are true. This is what they call hearsay. Despite all the political posturing, Senate negotiators spent the weekend crafting the bipartisan legislation. Number 2. As the Israel-Hamas war moves into its 4th month, the United States announced the weekend deaths of 3 American service members. They were the first American military killed on land since the Israel-Hamas war began. The attacks were linked to the Iraq-backed militant groups that were acting in response to Israeli attacks on Gaza. The White House did not announce how they plan to respond to the deaths of the American service members yet. Number 3, many Americans have goals to get fit this year. Experts say whether it's weight loss, stress management, or even career goals, you need to be able to see and address the big rocks and the small ones in your path. Check out today's newsletter for 8 things you need to know on crushing your goals all year. Number 4, Terry Pitchford, a 37-year-old black man, was charged with killing a Grenada County, Mississippi store owner when he was 18 years old. His death penalty conviction was overturned by a district judge because it was discovered the prosecutor blocked black jurors from the courtroom. District Judge Michael P. Mills said former District Attorney Doug Evans had a history of sorting black people from the remainder of the jury pool. According to the U.S. District Judge Mills, Mississippi has 6 months to retry Terry Pitchford, or he must be released from custody. Until then, he remains on death row. Number 5. By definition, miracles are extraordinary and astonishing happenings that are attributed to the presence and action of a divine power. In layman's terms, miracles are unexplainable and supernatural things that happen in your life and the lives of others, and you know it had to be God. God performs miracles for 2 reasons: to strengthen our faith and to do good deeds. Read more about our miracles in today's newsletter. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Be intentional about what you need to do to live the life you want to live. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter Live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with social justice contributor Coy Malone, my friend comedian Alicia Cooper, and comedians extraordinaire Chris Paul and Huggy Lowdown as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.